Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
What's your name again? It's been a while.
I know. It hasn't. It's been a week, but I was thinking tonight. It's been a while. We miss each other that much. Yeah.
It's
How's your neck?
What was wrong with my neck?
You just fucking do it.
Just
like ready for a boxing match.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about Street Fighter a second ago, and I sort of felt like I was getting ready. How you feeling?
I've been all right. I'm counting down the days. We're into June now. I've got 24 days before I
till the alpha's back.
Go and get my alpha. Yeah, the boss is pick
back.
up the boss from the airport.
Yeah,
I've actually got a.
How far through is she now? Can we talk about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, she's walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain. I think she's at 500 and something kilometers of 900.
That's pretty good.
It's
super interested to see how
I'm so proud of her. Hey, like
totally.
It's crazy what she's actually doing. So I don't know if our guest knows, but basically she's scattering her dad's ashes because he died a couple of years ago of cancer. And they love that walk. So
wow,
yeah,
across 900.
It's been a trying time for me with 2 kids and full-time work. So yeah.
Holding it down.
You
look good.
Yeah, I'm going. Oh. All right, who's that guest?
Do you want to introduce him?
All right, we have Michael Dunworth. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, mate,
Appreciate
it's a long time coming. I feel like this should have happened 6 months ago.
Well, I had this chat with Michael, and we said we sort of had no idea because we had no idea what we were going to add to this conversation, so we sort of didn't do it, and then we realized we have nothing to add, so we're just going to make this the Michael Dunworth pod and let you talk.
Yeah.
So
I'll be upstairs.
No way! I've just cracked a beer. We're talking shit for 2 hours. Let's go.
Let's just do that. That's
perfect.
I like.
Dude, we started on Street Fighter. I feel like there's plenty to go through. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you guys? Firstly, sats or bits? That's something topical. I feel like that's been floating around. Sats or bits? Any give a shit?
Well, it depends. I
care.
I think I'm a Sats guy, but like, are we talking about bits as far as being replacing Sats or bits? Because someone was saying bits as a
no, but people are like, oh, maybe bits should be the standard, and I'm like, I don't even know what a bit is, and then now I have to find out what a bit is, and now I'm like confused again. So I was just like, I was wondering if you guys had any commentary, but I like Sats.
Yeah,
Sats is just easy. Like, it's the biggest denomination and the smallest denomination.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I go to you, hey, I just sent you 100 bits. They're like, oh, man. I'm like, oh, 100 bits. What's that? It's a fraction of a Bitcoin. How much? Oh, it's 100,000 sats. What's a sat? Okay, we're back to square one. Like, it's sort of like, there was like, someone just like injected this layer in the middle to be like, hi, I'm a new acronym you've never heard of. It's like, what? I'm trying to learn about this thing I'm already not interested in, and you're force feeding it to me. Oh, well, let me give you another term you didn't want to know. So I just feel like it's sort of like kind of just, it's sort of like we're cock blocking ourselves a bit. I get the desire for it, but I feel like it's a bit unnecessary. Anyway, that's the end of my shit story.
I think logically for normies it makes sense, but Sats.
No, it doesn't, because it's not.
It doesn't, because
it's
there's another question I've got.
Dollars. It's not pounds and pos. It's not euros and yours or whatever. Like, it's not going to be Bitcoin and bits. Why would that make sense? It's like it's the shortened version of the longer word.
Dollars and cents.
Yeah, 2 different words.
Bitcoins and Sats.
Sats.
Yeah, but.
It's Sats.
No, I'm not. Honestly, like I'm a Sats guy, 100%.
It's Sats. It's the halving. What else is there? We have to get
fucking hell. Halvening.
Oh, the halving.
Grates me more than halvening.
Halvening.
And then those people.
The halfening. You've seen that as well. That's a good one.
The halfening. That's clever, right?
No. Yeah. No, well, actually, no, that's just I think you just made that up right then. I was saying the halfening as in HALFENNING. So it's like halvening, halfening, like the way people just confusingly spell it. But the halfening. Yeah.
I mean, that's
halfening.
A half
I
inning
like
party,
that.
right?
No, can I just say
A
that?
half inning
Can I
party.
just say he didn't
A
make
half
that
inning
up?
party.
That has been tweeted.
Yeah, I know it has.
Yeah.
But that is the party.
Oh,
I love
cool.
how you kept quiet about
Yeah,
it.
totally. Mate,
Source, I made it up.
If there's a good idea that I can claim, I'm having it, right?
Just take it. Find us keepers.
Oh, man. Anyway, how are you, mate? How are you?
Mate, I'm great.
We've
great.
hit the ground
good.
running.
Sorry, I missed you. Yeah, I know. I cracked a beer, got a sweat on. Actually, you know what? I'll open the door in a minute. No, dude, good. It was nice to be up in Port Macquarie the other day. It was good to see. Sorry, I couldn't see you, but good. Port Macquarie, the best place. That beautiful.
So let's start there. Why were you here? What were you doing?
I was there doing Ironman, doing the Port Macquarie half Ironman. So it's basically a 1.8K swim, 90K bike ride, and a 21K run. Trying to get fit. So basically 21K, so half marathon at the end. Dude, it's sick. Okay, basically, I've been like a nerd, and I was in San Francisco for 10 years or 8 years or whatever, but you're sitting on your ass for 16 hours a day, like in an office. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. That's not healthy. And so when I come back to Australia, I was like, nah, okay, I've got to start giving a shit. Everyone's talking about discipline. Everyone's talking about being focused and all this shit. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and do something to sort of match the energy. Like if I treated my body like a startup, I treat it like a toilet, but let's say I treated it like a startup that I cared about, then I do a bunch of exercise and try and see what it's capable of. I wonder if I could do that. And plus I was really unconfident, and obviously you get a confidence hit after you have these big sort of emotional roller coasters, in your professional life or wherever. And I was like, oh, well, if I can do something that I don't think I can do, even if it's just starting it, then that's going to be like, oh, fuck, what else can you do? It's sort of like you're taking a car for a spin. It's like, oh, fuck, what else can this car do? It's got this feature, it's got that feature. And so I was sort of like, all right, well, let's see what we got. And anyway, that was sort of that was a goal set in the end of December last year. So the goal is to do a full Ironman eventually. Some of the boys, we posted that thing on Twitter and we were talking about it the other day. Are insane. Some of these boys have done these. Do you know how mental a fucking Ironman is to me? It's just nuts. Their slogan is the best slogan I've ever heard in my life. Ironman, brag for the rest of your life. Literally. I've never seen anything that's more accurate. It's like, dude, in 30 years' time, it's like, sorry, dude, excuse me, can I go in front? I'm an Ironman. I did not. It's like, oh, sorry. But I feel like at least I feel like, look, I'm a total gimp at this stuff. And the motto for this shit is finish lines are greater than finish times. So it's sort of just about trying to do it. But you learn so much about yourself and just work and all this sort of shit and discipline. And I feel like Bitcoin sort of taught me heaps of that shit too. And I'm not even being like, oh my God, Bitcoin. But actually it does. It just teaches you about the power of persistence and consistency. Because that's all it does. It's just done the same thing for a long time. And the fact that we know it's going to keep doing the same thing is sort of this weird thing where we don't have that for almost anything. And I feel like that's super interesting. I was like, well, that's cool. So maybe you just got to keep doing it, keep chipping away at it. It's like this really resilient dude that just is not giving up. You see that guy and he's trying to get out of this thing or whatever it is, and he's never giving up. That's how Bitcoin sort of feels like. It's just chugging away, doing its thing, like it or lump it.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't slow down, doesn't speed up. Not really.
Nah.
And it just plugs along. And sorry, go back to the Ironman. You're doing it with your mate as well. So you had the two of you training together. You had a goal to work on and all that kind of stuff.
Basically,
there's a social element too.
100%. And he's in the space as well. And him and I were both we needed to get focused on something. We've done these sort of things previously where it's we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and that was really cool. We went great white shark diving in South Africa. That was mad. And this one was why don't we try and do an Ironman or something? Because, if you've got too much time on your hands, or if we've got time, you have downtime, it's a great way to spend. If I've got less time, less obligations in work now, then that means I've got more time so I can spend it productively. And so him and I sort of gone on this journey. I reckon it's always better to have someone on your journey with you, whether it's, people are married and they've got a partner in life, or they've got a mate or whatever it is. But literally 100%, exactly the thing. You guys both having each other for shit like this. There's days where you can't be fucked doing something, or he can't be fucked doing something, but you both kind of lift you balance each other's moods out and motivations out. It just helps you get your feet on the ground and gives you accountability and shit. It's mad.
I used to play. No, that was you. Oh, you could have been good. But I used to play five-a-side football, right? And the good thing about that was for me, like because it's a team game, like you turn up because if you don't turn up, you're the dick that made it 5 versus 4, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
if you're just in a single-person game, you're like, oh, it's very easy to like turn off on yourself.
Well, can we talk?
It's hard to turn off on someone else.
Talk about ping pong.
Sure.
Yeah, every
you
Wednesday.
Like ping pong?
No, well, yeah, I don't mind it, but every Wednesday night, Hats plays ping pong in town, which is a 25 minute drive.
Yeah.
And he can't not go because he doesn't want to let the people down.
Well,
which is admirable, but
nice.
It's frustrating.
Because they need numbers for a tournament or something, or
no, it's a garage.
No, it's a garage. It's not like it's I'll tell you what happened. This is not going to be a bit quick, but I can tell already. So what happened was a mate of mine and his wife separated. They have a few kids, and they split the time with the kids 50-50. It's pretty, pretty amicable. But but what that means is, he works full time as well. So what he's done is in the week that he doesn't have his kids, he works more hours. In the weeks that he does have his kids, he works less hours. But but because of that, we used to play golf, right? But you can't. We just couldn't justify 4 hours in the golf course, so we had to think of something else. So we got a ping pong table, chucked it in his garage. We've been playing for years now, and it's we were actually all right. We got better. But funny that, right? You practice and you plug away at something, you happen to get a bit better.
Isn't it weird though? Like, it's so funny how that works. And I know this sounds like obvious and we're being sarcastic, but it's literally it. Like, if someone's like, "Oi, what's the secret?" It's like, "Oi, don't turn." Like, consistently showing up. And it's like, what? It's like, there is no secret. The shortcut, that is the shortcut. That's the secret. That's the everything. It's fascinating.
I love that. I think it's Gary Player. Like, the more I practice, the luckier I get.
Of course.
Perfect.
Literally. Yeah,
perfect,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And another one was the Jordan one. I know you never always butcher this one, but it's like, why did you make 40,000 3-pointers in your career? And he's like, well, because I took 90,000 shots. I just kept taking shots. Whatever the numbers are. Like, it's true. It's totally true.
Shots on goal. Literally. That's it.
So when I first saw you at the Iron Man, you were flying down a hill.
Yeah. He screamed out. I tried to give you a wave and I almost fucking cleaned myself up. Dude, I'm not even joking. Gave me a heart attack. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, man.
Can I ask?
It was gold.
Because you've shown me the video and I'm guessing you sent it to Michael, but have you actually shared that on Twitter?
No, I sent it to his brother, but I haven't. Maybe... Did you? No, I don't think I put it.
Would you be happy for us to share it when we do this pod? Because it's funny because it's like you kind of go like, "Hey, how you going?" And then you go, you go work out.
I realized and then I realized there was a dude overtaking me that I had no idea existed.
Oh yeah, because he was shouting. He's shouting on your left, on my right, or whatever.
On your right. And I'm there fucking dicking around, my thumb up my ass, fucking waving my dumb hands around everywhere. Dude, almost took this dude out. But yeah, it was amazing. It was really good fun. Fuck, how funny.
It was good. I think I shouted something out about time traveling. There's a good segue, right?
You did. And that's I was going to ask, did you actually hear him say that, which made you then do the double take? Is like, who's
I heard some. No, I heard some. I think so. To be honest, it's quite hard to remember, but I remember hearing something seemed it was like they were pointing to me. Yeah, basically, it was like they said something related to me. So I was like, oh, yeah.
It was a massive fence and it was coming at you at 40k an hour.
Oh my god, yeah. But anyway, that's been a blast. That's been good. Bits versus sats. And what else? Okay, so hold on. Can someone? I know you guys have talked about. I feel like I read you guys talking about this. Interest rates, Australia, fixed interest rates. They're going off a cliff or something like that. Can you give me the too long didn't read on that?
Yeah, sure. Let's.
Whose pod is this?
No. But I feel like that's something I'm so uneducated on, and I feel like I've seen you make comments on it, and I feel like it's good to ask if I don't know.
So during COVID, obviously the free money, the time of free money, and very low interest rates, and people were buying homes or people refinancing their homes or whatever. So we're talking March 2020, right? So we're now, what year is this? 2023, and we're now, what month? I don't know what month it is.
June.
June the 1st.
So we're essentially
punch.
So we're essentially 3 years since then. And a lot of people took out a 3-year fixed rate mortgage.
Yeah.
So they took it out. They either refinanced or they bought a new house and they took out a 3-year fixed rate mortgage, right? So and from in the period of easy money, right? So and I think when I looked into it, don't quote me on the numbers, Michael, but I think I'm right.
Yeah.
There was 880,000 fixed rate mortgages in Australia due to roll in the next 9-month period, right?
That was what I was hearing. Yes,
including mine.
Including Ben.
Yes. Okay. Now this is all making sense. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people who are probably coming off somewhere between like 1.9 and 2.4, and they're rolling if they're going for a fixed rate mortgage, they're probably going in at, I don't know, 5.9 or 6.2 or something. Just I don't know where that. So they're probably going up 3%, maybe 4%. You have probably closer to 4%. But there are also a bunch of folks who were given a mortgage that they could service at that time.
Yeah.
But they're now looking at it and the bank's going, well, hang on, champ, you can't service that mortgage, so we won't even offer you a product. So they might be going elsewhere and they might be getting no product elsewhere. So now they're just sliding onto the variable rate. So it's not even like they can try and get another better deal. They just have to stomach the punch in the mouth for as long as they can take it. Back to Street Fighter. So
back to Street Fighter, literally.
So that's where we are. That's where we're
at.
In Australia, particularly in Australia, it's 880,000 over the next 9 months. The 9 months started in April, so it's going to be brutal. It's going to be absolutely brutal for people.
Yeah, mine matures in November.
So what do you do? What are you going to do? You just
we were talking about that before the pod. I don't know. I really don't
took
know.
advice last time, so you're going to take it this time? Or?
Oh man. So I've talked about this before, right? So I'll tell you, Michael. So I when I refinanced, I fixed and I asked for 4 to 5 years, and the broker goes, no, here's 2 years at 1.8%. And he goes, and the RBA
It used to be 3 years.
No, mine was 2.
Oh, was it 21?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And he tells me the RBA said they're not going to raise rates or look at rates until 2023. So you should get another bite of the cherry, Brendo. I'm like, oh, well.
Okay.
I like 2 bites of cherry.
You know what you're talking about.
I like cherries.
Let's do that. And I was fucking
fucking hell.
So anyway,
it's a brutal.
Yeah, I'm dire straits.
But and without giving a, shut me up if you want to, but you've got a sizable chunk of equity in your property, right? You've been in this house for a long time, so you've paid back quite a bit, right? The real problem is people sitting at 95 to 100%.
New homeowners straight into the market, early into the market. Yeah.
At least you're coming at a low LTV. So the bill's going to get painful, but it's going to become true. It's not just painful for a lot of people. They're just going to lose their house.
Yes.
Or everything, whatever. And this is my big issue with this just now is people stick their head in the sand, right? So because they don't want to know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Or they probably know, but they don't want to admit it. So they'll stick their head in the sand and they'll run down everything else. Yeah. And then they'll lose the house. So not only do they lose the house,
they'll lose everything trying to save the house, and then the house will go too in the process.
Yes, I think so. So this is going to be a real positive podcast as well.
And they never are.
Switching gears. Cobalt mining in Africa. Joking. Positive news. Heavy topics.
There's 20 minutes in or something. But give people the high level Michael Dunworth story if you can that led you to this point.
Yeah, sure. Moved over to San Francisco. We worked in finance in Sydney, dropped out of 3 universities. I'm a terrible student. Worked in finance in like portfolio management software. So basically, if you're a financial advisor and you're trying to work out where to put people's money, practices and institutions have this software that sort of rebalances portfolios and stuff. Really enjoyed it. Got into the startup world when Groupon came out. Remember Groupon?
Oh, yeah.
And so we built
Groupon?
No, I think they think they are. Yeah, they're publicly traded. I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a thing anymore as much as it was, though. Obviously, I think the product might be shaped a lot differently. But I got into startups trying to build a competitor to that, which was a bit of a tweak thing. It was basically a restaurant booking platform. Instead of going in, like Groupon, how you go in like, oh, I got a Groupon deal. It's like 1 entree and 2 glasses of champagne and a dessert at this restaurant. You can't just go in and order whatever you want. You pull out your hey, I got this 2-for-1 deal. So obviously, if you're going on a business date, or a business date, but if you're taking someone to a meeting, or if you're taking your mum out for a birthday, and you're like, oh, mum, or like a date, oh, take you to the beautiful restaurant. Oh, wait, no, don't order that shit. No, we'll have the 2 champagnes, and here's my piece of paper scrunched up. So obviously, that's not appealing. So it's like, that's a problem with the UX of using Groupon. So we were like, okay, well, let's make one where you don't get 60% off, but you also you can choose from the whole menu. So it was basically like, all right, you book online, the place will get the booking from us, and they'll know, hey, put a 20% discount at the bottom of the bill. So basically, if you pay through us, we charge you $10 to make the booking, and we get you a 20% discount. You never showed anything. It was just applied discreetly at the bottom of the bill. And that was really good for like professionals who would go out like a 10-person business meeting. The restaurants loved it because the restaurants are monetizing tables that are already there. Basically, these tables are in a restaurant. They've got, staff, they're staffed for 100 people. If they've only got 80 customers that night, they've got 20 more that they can fill with their fixed costs. The burners are still going, the lights are on, the air conditioning's on. They may as well monetize it. So taking a 20% hit. Anyway, I did that for ages. I was working full-time in finance at the time. This is literally a life story. Fuck, I'll speed it up. Working full-time.
Don't speed it up, man.
But working full-time in finance, and then I was doing BD with the restaurants, like business development at lunch. So I was walking around on my lunch break from finance, walking around saying, hey, do you want to be on this website? And everyone's like, no, my restaurant's full 24/7. I'm the best restaurant in the world. So what I did learn is how egotistical restaurant owners are for obvious reasons. Their restaurant is always full. They've got the best food in the world, and their chefs are the best at what they do. But they never want to say, oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, we've got a bunch of empty tables. This is a wise business decision. Anyway, it's actually funny. You know what one of the business development strategies was? Because the idea was very foreign to people. So people were very accustomed to the Groupon idea, right? A restaurant, if we said, oh, we want to give, $75 for 2 entrees and 2 mains, they'd get that. Like they understood the Groupon model because there were so many competitors pitching them every single day saying, hey, can you do a deal with us? And so this model was really foreign. Hey, just let people in and give them 20% discount and that's it. Like that was totally different. So they didn't, basically it was really hard to get them to sign up. So what we did actually, I think one of the strategies, we created 2 other competitor fake websites that said they did the same thing as us. And we called the restaurants as competitors to basically say, this is the next hot thing that restaurants are going to be doing. And then the restaurant called us back first because we were the first one to call, the first one, but we're the same one or whatever. It was like, your brother and your sister calling or whatever. But yeah. So just it's weird, those psychology behind that, how it's sort of like, well, maybe I'm missing out on something. If 10 people go, hey, have you heard of Bitcoin? It's a lot different to one random phone call saying, hi, sir, have you heard about the good word of Satoshi Nakamoto? Like, like a Bible salesman almost. But if 10 Bible salesmen show up 10 days in a row, you're going to be like, what the fuck's going on? So totally. Anyway, it's a weird thing. I'm like that. Like I'll follow shit like that. Like if 20 people are looking at something on the wall, I'll be like, what are we looking at, guys? Like, I'm a total monkey. Like,
None of us are not. Well, I don't know. Most of us are not making our own decisions most of the time.
Nah,
right?
Not a chance.
You've driven past us an advert, or you've heard a Bunnings ad 4 months ago, and you just can't help but remember.
And now that's why I feel like a sausage sizzle for dinner. Like,
that's it. That's it.
But even talking to that, right? And I thought about this today, and I've talked to you about this before. But even for me, coming into Bitcoin, where I was beforehand an absolute lefty, I'd probably call myself a socialist, all that kind of stuff. And the way that Bitcoin has changed me over the last 3 years, it still rattles my brain. It still makes
you feel a little bit uncomfortable with it.
I do feel uncomfortable because the things happen, and I'm like, well, 3 years ago I would have felt this way, but now I feel this way.
And what way am I going to feel in 3 years? And can I predict how I'm going to feel? And you're like, surely. And you feel like you're at the height of your own consciousness on it. And then you look back, like, you'll look back in 6 months' time to you a year ago and be like, oh my God, I thought I knew what I was talking about, or whatever it is. Like, you look back retrospectively and you're like, why did anyone ever let me open my mouth? I'm an idiot. But you're obviously not an idiot. It's just the consciousness of the whole industry changes, and it's in vogue at the time. And that's why you see a lot of these people that are getting rinsed for, something they posted on social media in 2011 or something. It's like, the social context was so much different then. You can't pick that out and put it in today. It's just like sort of, like Tropic Thunder, the movie, right? For the time, it was hilarious and awesome. Now it wouldn't fly. Like there's a lot of words, there's a lot of actions in that movie that people aren't happy about.
I fucking
Do you know what I mean?
That movie.
It's easily one of the funniest movies on earth.
My boy and
mate,
I put it on for my boy. Like,
go watch it now. It's the funniest thing ever.
Thanks, guys. It's the best.
Have a good night.
No, but sorry. Another thing I was going to say, right, is that it feels like as a grown man now, and how my beliefs have changed, or my convict, or whatever. My whole brain has changed in the last 3 years.
Yes,
but it's the only time that I've been conscious of it. I think, and it's almost like a lucid dream. You know, where you know you're having a dream, whereas I'm aware of my my beliefs and what I think is right, what I think is wrong is changing, and I'm aware of that as it happens. And I'm still
it's happening so I know what you mean. So I think it's because it happens. Let's treat it like an interest account. Imagine you're earning interest, right? And that's your understanding of something. So you earn interest. People are bored with interest, like savings accounts that earn 1%, because it's not exciting. We get everything really fast. Uber, mail, everything same day delivery, instant gratification. So when I talk about money and a savings product, that's not exciting to me. That's why there's so many degenerates at a young age now, because literally everyone's like looking for a hit and a return on investment or a ROI that makes sense in the context of how quick they receive things elsewhere in their life. And that's why Bitcoin's kind of this only rocket ship that's kind of like that. And I think this is why you're so mindful of the conscious changes in your thought process and pattern, because it's actually moving so fast that you're like, hold on a second, I've never seen this much real-time transition. Like you're almost able to spot it in real time. It's not like, in the mirror, like if you're training and trying to get healthy, you can never see your own progress really until you're really far through it and you see before and after. It's kind of like, because you're going so fast ahead, it's like you're changing consciousness between being drunk and sober. It's like that split. You can change. You wake up the next morning and be like, oh my God, I was totally on a different wavelength. And I believed the wavelength I was on at the time with absolute sincerity. It's just, I've never had anything change my thought. It doesn't change your thoughts. It changes something above your thoughts, like the engine room that cooks up thoughts and how to think. And because now, so every thought you've ever had, it's like an Instagram filter. Imagine you had every thought as a desktop, like icon on your desktop, and you're just changing the filter of the background or the screen filter. That's exactly what's happening. I'm seeing every thought with this new, like someone's replaced the battery with like this Bitcoin battery, and now it's like everything, laser eyes, so you're seeing everything through this context of Bitcoin and immutability and persistence and all these kind of different things. I don't know, it's weird, but it's there, it's a thing, but without doubt.
I'm gonna tweet about this today, but like the wizard behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz, it's like once you've seen the wizard once you've seen the old man behind the curtain, you can't then go back to the story, right?
No,
it's impossible. You've seen the guy playing with it.
The game is up.
Yeah, right. So now everything else, you're just looking at the world through this, having seen the old guy behind the curtain. Now that makes you sound conspiratorial, I'm sure, but to a lot of people. But I mean, ultimately, truth is going to be the decider, right? So I never understood these people who came from like a family of a particular political party, we're a Labour family. It's like, that is the most moronic. Nothing against, I don't care about.
That's a broken thought process out of the box.
Stupidest thing. Like, so if the guy said, I'm just about to shoot you in the head.
Good mate, that's exactly like that.
But it's
like being a Blues supporter or a
well, sport is exactly the same, right? Sport is but if you have to separate sport the game from sport the religion, right? So the game, hey, if you want to be a 90-minute moron, that's totally fine. Yeah. But if you can just put it away again and then go back to normal life, that's cool. Like I just don't understand people when presented with new information.
They don't change their
they don't change their mind. Like, wow.
No,
I think
sorry, mate. You go.
No, you go.
Well, I think that's what's most rattling for me, though, is that as a kid, right, I supported this team, and if I was a Labor, my family were Labor, I'm Labor, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're growing up, you're a sponge, right? And then that solidifies in your 20s, in your 30s, in whatever. And now at 42, my everything's crumbling, and I'm just like, fuck me,
because you're losing what you thought was your identity.
Yeah,
and this is the granite that is you, right? We need something really solid to build ourselves around, and it doesn't matter what it is.
Yes,
it can be your mum and dad, it can be your brother and sister, it could be your wife,
but it has to be
children,
solid.
your job, your money, whatever it is. It just has to be rock solid, and then you can build everything, solid, and everything else you can build right about that. But this is why I think people are being prepared to change a lot of other beliefs, is because they've found this one really rock solid thing.
And it's that rock solid. And because money is so high up the food chain of everyday conscious decisions that we make, where am I going to eat? Hey, Dad, can we get an Xbox? Hey, Dad, whatever it is, money is a filter. It's there before we've even thought about it. And so if you can if you can just take that out and be like, oh, how does everything look without that filter on? Now, that's because Bitcoin sort of takes care of it, almost like, oh, do you have a method of transportation? No, I haven't bought a bike yet. Oh, I've got a bike now. That's solved. Unless my bike gets a flat tire. A flat tire being Bitcoin is like that for money. It's like, oh, I bought it. No, I don't need to buy it again. Right? It's my money. It's not going to disappear. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't get debased. It just keeps going up because everyone else is doing the opposite. And because that's like we think of it like it's foreign, the idea that something could persistently increase in deterministic value, like in predictable value. That's not uncommon. We just have been so stupid. We just get our hands on everything. And because we want to put our hands on everything, that's when everything fucks up. But if we don't touch it, it won't break and it'll just keep going. So like, if you buy Bitcoin, it takes care of money for you. It just solves all these problems mentally that before they even arrive. It's like, if you have a kid now, I probably would teach them about Bitcoin to start with. And I'm not saying like right now, but in general, if I was trying to teach them about the principles of money and saving, you'd teach them about spending less than you earn or earning more than you spend, and making sure that work comes with reward, but you've got to have both. And I think if you taught them that, it's extremely easy to get for a new person because it's common sense, work reward, right? Which is even weirder. Like it's easier for a kid to understand probably, and a monkey for that. I mean, that's literally how we train monkeys. Like, do this. Here's a reward. Good monkey. That's literally what Bitcoin's doing with us. Here's a Bitcoin. Like we the miners run and turn every power grid on that they've got. And they're like, good boy. We're the puppy basically getting the treat, and the mine, like that's it, you know? Yeah. But I just find it interesting. I think I definitely agree with the rock solid foundation thing, by the way.
So what is it like to be the taller, younger, better looking brother of Peter Dunworth?
With hair.
Is it? Well, I probably won't have hair soon, but it sort of feels like that. My hair's gone super grey recently.
Oh, Mr. Sheffield.
Yeah, dude, everyone says that. Everyone, not some people, everyone, every single person, they have the exact same comment, Mr. Sheffield, because he's got that grey tuft there.
He does. He's got the grey tuft, but he's got the little grey side ones.
Yes. No, it's good being Pete's brother. Literally, it actually is Matt.
It's a serious question. It's sort of a serious question as well.
No, but it's awesome. Like, okay, think about this, right? So him and I are both interested. We're both interested in Bitcoin. Sort of have the same philosophy on it, let's say, but we both come from two different directions. So I'm come from the nerd side. He comes from the more finance side. But I learn heaps from him personally because I don't really understand a lot of that stuff, and he's always been really, really good with just money stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like he understands that shit, and he's always been more interested in it, I think.
So did you then? So you understood Bitcoin technically because that came naturally to you. But what you're saying then
is I tripped over it. Because it was in my peripheral, because it started in the nerd ecosystem, you know, with like tech people or whatever. Yeah.
But the tech side of it, that's not a struggle for you, right? Is that
not
right?
As much, fair? No. I mean, I get what they were doing and why it was cool. Yeah.
But did you understand the problem? Like, did you understand the fiat side of the problem?
No, not the I didn't know, to be honest, look, I'm pretty green. I've grown up in fortunate circumstances, like in Sydney, Australia. So I've always thought, oh, the government, cool. Like, you know, everyone says, oh, the government's conspiracy and this and that. And I'm like, whatever, dude, I'm just reading what I'm told. Like, if everything around me is telling me something, newspapers, websites, you know, everything, then that's what I'm going to believe. So for me, I actually didn't really think that there was that much problem with money. I was like, I've seen The Big Short, I'd seen all that, and I was like, oh, that's fucked, real bad. But just don't do it again. They can't bail them out again. They're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off. But I didn't really realize it was as insidious as it was, like, you know, and didn't really understand, oh, what money actually should be. Do you know what I mean? That's been a big consciousness evolution. Like at first I was like, oh, cool, this is a digital thing, like another, you know, BitTorrent or whatever it is. It's like another Napster or something. It's just going to be a cool, practical tool that'll probably be really beneficial to a lot of people. But I didn't really think it was like, oh, no, we're trying to like the whole world runs on this thing called money. And I've got an idea that I think can make it better for everyone. And that's basically Satoshi's like a founder. And he's just like the foresight on that shit. I don't know if foresight, but to understand the problem so intricately and to know, not only do you already understand it, you understand it so well that you know that what the solution is. I just think that's impressive, really impressive. It just shows someone's got a whole world of experience on some topic, you know. I just find that and the more I learn, the more I start to kind of catch up, it feels like almost to where it started. I don't know if that's sort of what you were meaning, but yeah, anyway. The money side of it, I was totally green on that. I was like, never really bothered. I thought, let's go. Bitcoin's best value prop is that it's immutable. And if it doesn't change, then it wins. And everything else will be sort of dancing around that premise of immutability. So everyone will try and build things, but it should be very specific, like application, very modular purpose-built things. And I thought, so you'd have Bitcoin as this kind of like the piece of paper that everyone's writing on. And whatever machines build in the future, whether they're centralized or decentralized, they'll have to have some relationship with the Bitcoin blockchain. Otherwise, it's sort of like you won't ever be seen kind of thing as a machine. I don't know.
So what is your take on Satoshi then? Like, has Satoshi just worked this out, played this out in his head, his or their head, a million permutations? Or it's like, are they sitting back somewhere now going, oh my God, how lucky was that? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what it is. Okay, so when you have a system that's really, really extensible, and that means like it's very applicable, like the color red, you can put the color red anywhere, right? There's nothing blocking you from putting a red lamp in your home or wearing a red t-shirt or whatever. Satoshi built Bitcoin, and because it's such a primitive, meaning there's no bells and whistles, it's just one entry in, one debit, one credit, one debit. And then there's that, and then it's a fixed supply. It's really simple. So the function of the simplicity of it means, I can relate it to everything because it's just plus and minus. It's like, oh, well, that's plus and minus, and you start being able to attribute it to almost everything. And that's why it feels like, oh, did Satoshi think of that as well? Or did he think of that? It's like, no. It really is kind of more on the side of, he would have had a problem to fix or whatever. They had a goal, but you know, it really is fix the money, fix the world. We're fixing the filter. Remember, we talked about the filter before, and we're looking at all the thoughts below the filter. And as the filter's changing, we're seeing all these thoughts starting to change with it because you're fixing the money. And I just think that either they knew it or they didn't, but fixing the money has really fixed so many different problems that I don't think you could plan for. There's no way you could have that much foresight.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It's like, because then you throw things out like difficult adjustment, the 21 million, the 4-year halving cycle, the half-inning cycle.
Why? Yeah, half-inning.
Yeah. But yeah, like why? All the whys. Yeah, that's it. It's really hard. So,
I don't put it past it being a government thing, by the way, and I don't think it's very silly to think about that. If I'd made a really bad currency and I have a $50 billion budget paid to the NSA, who are basically the smartest people in the world with the biggest data set in the world, I'd probably say, oh, we've got this currency and we sort of botched it. Any ideas, guys? And then they could build something that would supersede it, and they basically cannibalize their own currency by building a better one. That's a narrative I was playing out in my head, right? The government built Tor. Tor is the privacy browser for the internet. The Navy pretty much is the leader in all technology. And it wouldn't surprise surprise me if they made it too. Now, I'm not saying they did, and I'm not saying they should, or I want them to, but if anyone's capable of it, they're very capable when they need to be. And I think that's kind of interesting. I was like, oh, man, how fucking smart. And imagine that was the case, right? Imagine there was someone in the office and they're like, guys, we fucked this up really bad. Someone needs to make a fucking mad currency and bail us out. And that's their internal bailout. And they're like, fuck, okay, boss, I'm on it. Yeah. And so they call a bunch of MIT kids. It's like, guys, make a mad currency. It's like, what? Yeah, do it. It's going to be awesome. So they make a mad currency. They've got Satoshi's coins because they are Satoshi. So they're sitting there with the biggest bag in the world. Yep. And now they're watching everyone on Twitter be like, how fucking stupid are they? Oh my God, I could have run the government better. Oh my God. They're like, yeah.
Could you keep that to yourself? Could you keep that to yourself?
How could you?
Fuck no. Well, I mean, look, they're pretty good at keeping shit to themselves, probably. Anyway, I don't think that. I think that'd be, if that was the case, mate. Oh, that would be the biggest like bait and switch in history, and I'd have to give them props for it. I'd be like, guys, outstanding, unbelievable, guys. I'm on board, whatever you're doing. Anyway, but yeah, I don't think it was. I'm not sure that that's the case, but I wouldn't rule that out because it's just that good.
And if somebody said to you, I can, 100% tell you who this Satoshi person is, would you want to know? Does it improve it? Would it improve anything by knowing?
I think it would help me personally understand. Like when someone does something, like let's say when if it's murder or if it's intelligence or whatever it is, they try and empathize with who the person was to put themselves in their shoes, to retrace the footsteps. So I think it'd be interesting to see who they are as a person, just to see how the brilliance was born, But I think other than that, there's not like, I've asked like, and what would you do in this situation? Like, it's not like they're going to go, oh yeah, and bigger blocks are the better one. I'm comfortable with the information I know now. Even if Satoshi disagreed with it, I've really gotten to a point where I don't think I can change my opinion on this, which is basically Bitcoin can't change. And like, don't change it. So if Satoshi came out and said, hey, we need to do 2 megabyte blocks, guys. Sorry, my last email didn't send before I signed off for 20 years. I'd be like, I'm sorry, man. That boat sailed. Sorry. And I don't mean to be rude, but no.
Yeah, I was just...
So,
Brett, we've had this conversation before, and I'm like, well, what have you found out? It was like Steve from Adelaide, whose previous project was like the public transport card. Like, does that make it doesn't help, right? It doesn't. And I do apologize to anybody called Steve from Adelaide. Whatever.
Dude, my uncle's gonna be pissed. My uncle in Adelaide, Steve. No.
But yeah, I just don't see. So, what is exciting to you? What are you looking at just now that you go, oh, this is the absolute cutting edge of what it is that I'm personally interested in?
I mean, look, the AI intersection, the philosophy behind that, I think that's really interesting. That to me is, I think that's the biggest adoption opportunity for Bitcoin. I think that's actually probably one of the biggest things that will create an inflection point of adoption. Now, we think of adoption as, when we think of adoption, it should be one thing: a fully self-custodied Bitcoin holder with a node. Like, that really is adoption, full stop. Someone buying on Coinbase is a path towards adoption, but they don't own Bitcoin in the essence of the spirit of the protocol. But machines will always be users out of the box because machines rely on trustless systems. They can't rely on account-based systems in the context of an autonomous AI agent, which is very real, and it's a very near-term thing that's going to happen. And I think that's a really big slept-on thing. Tools, plugins, that whole peripheral around AI. If you're a new startup and you haven't started anything now, I think there's a really big opportunity that will come by bridging the gap between autonomous agents being able to quickly spin up nodes out of the box and stuff like that, and create wallets that are machine-based. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think the ordinal stuff has been interesting from a social perspective. It's now another big block kind of war. I remember the block size war in like 2016 or 2017. There was just so much so many people at each other's throats. Everyone was against everyone. Everyone was sort of like, WTF. Yeah.
Because people didn't really know though, Michael. Like I feel like now that there's a different there's like from a lot of people who were around in those times, they're sort of like, well, yeah, this is what happens. Oh, here we go again. You know, they're not too panicky. Whereas back then there was definitely panic in the room, right?
Oh, it was much more real, very real. I'll tell you why, because people weren't sure if like the premise, like how loud the silent majority was. And I remember in 2017, so we were part of a portfolio company, the company I started called Wire. We were invested by a company called DCG, and they were obviously they've had a lot of, they've been involved with the Grayscale, and they built the public ETFs, and they've done a lot of investment. Shit, I just lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
What did I just say? You said DCG. What was that?
DCG before that. Oh my God, how did we get here? Oh, that's right. The halving. Okay, it's one of the halving, 2017 block size wars.
Yes, good.
So DCG, basically, there was lots of portfolio companies and everyone was exchanges. And I was like, oh my God, you know, everyone's talking about this increasing the block size. And to me, I was like, I had these two guys on our team that Richard Bensberg and Neil Woodfine, who are both really, really exceptional thinkers and really great people. And they were much more in tune with the essence of Bitcoin. So I looked at Bitcoin for the longest time. I looked at like, oh, cool. This is like a decentralized PayPal. Oh, cool. We need more people using it. Oh, so obviously we've got to scale it. That's like a thing that happens with servers. But I didn't realize the philosophy behind it. And so when I talked to the guys, you know, the request was that we were getting in the community because we were doing a lot of volume, or we were part of the community. So they were saying, who supports the SegWit 2x then, which is the increase of the block size. And so my natural inclination was, we'll play ball with whatever works. But I ran it by Richard and Neil, and I was like, guys, here's the email I got. Can you tell me, basically, you're the resident experts, in my opinion, on this Bitcoin core or whatever. What's your take? And then basically we sat down, we had a beer, we talked through it, and they're like, no, here's why. And they went through, I was like, okay, can you craft an email that can say we're politely declining to participate in this supporting of signing it? And so what was really interesting was, even though Coinbase has 5 million users, 10 million users, and they all supported it, and Coinbase as an entity supported it, because the nodes are the only ones that can vote, then all those users, I immediately realized they're not users. And that was the most illuminating thing for me. I was like, I get it now. There's them and what they want versus their users. And it just showed, it really dissected the two type of user classes that we have, which is, obviously we use the term user loosely, but you know, there's custodial users and non-custodial users. And I just found that really interesting. So it really is the nodes of the voters. And now with the ordinal stuff, there's a lot of division. I think everyone try everything, all that stuff. But I also think, like, you know, yes, it's a chain, but I think we should think about it much more like it's our ocean. Yes, you can do whatever you want with it. Of course, you can go shit in the ocean if you want. You can go take a piss. You can go empty your rubbish bin in there. But like, we all have to use it. We've got one of these, and we've got a lot of people that aren't born yet that will probably need to use it. Can we take care of it, please? We don't have to ruin everything. And I'm not saying it's ruining. You can throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But I definitely think that the essence or the intentions of it just felt childish almost. Like, I get it. I get it. Everyone wants to make money and all stuff, but it just felt like, guys, this is really cool tech. And like that Greg Foss guy, whatever, who's blowing up Deluxe, and I haven't heard it, but I just sort of kind of caught the conversation around him being really passionate, or, you know, really passionate about, you know, don't take it very seriously. And I think it's a mixture of both. Like, I think you should take it definitely very seriously, but it's also like, you know, like these guys are just sort of trying to make these things that it's very self-interest orientated. It's very short-sighted. And, you know, you see people say, oh, you know, we broke Bitcoin fucking around. It's like I'm using it still. You haven't done anything. You just wasted a lot of money. Like, not in a rude way, but you've got a lot of other people to waste money. Now, you probably made money. And I think like the creators of Ordinals, I think that they were sort of down, or I don't know what it is, but I'm all for everyone trying everything. But me, as just from someone in the space, I think Ordinals are really ordinary, like they're unoriginal. I don't think they're a creative cryptographics protocol. They're just a kind of copy paste of something that sort of worked. And I think have at it. And if there's some gold there for people that makes them really happy, good luck to them. But, you know, just because we can spam the chain doesn't mean you have to. Like, we can all shit in the ocean if we want, you know?
I totally
love it.
I totally agree with you, but I'm less what would I say, less optimistic about people's treating it well just because it's the ocean, right? I'm much more optimistic on the fact that there's going to be a cost involved in shitting in the ocean. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can shit in the ocean all you want.
In your face, right? You know, whatever that kind of thing. And that to me is this, unfortunately, like maybe that's just really negative on humans. No, but I just think it's realistic. It's like if there's a cost 100%. Involved, eventually the cost is gonna hurt somebody, right? If they're doing the wrong thing.
Yep. And the only reason people are willing to pay for anything most of the time is because they can perceive a return on investment, whatever way that is. So whether they're buying shit coins, whether they're buying ordinals, whatever it is. And look, I know a bunch of guys are working on ordinal stuff, and I'm like, cool, do it. Like, great. Let's keep throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But you know, if we know it's broken from the start, then I don't think you want to sort of, let's call it what it is, which is sort of like, you know, a hype fest, which is people spamming for stuff. There's probably nuggets of gold there, but I wouldn't say it's a big part of the community yet. Yes, it's growing, but it's very easy to grow because if I've got a wallet, I can grow the metrics as much as my wallet tells me to grow the metrics. You know, when people say like, oh, there's been, you know, 6,000% month over month growth in, you know, issuance of ordinals or something, but it's like, oh, they're all coming from one entity, or that entity is representing many other entities. Anyway, good luck to everyone. I think it's awesome, but I think it's a bit of a waste of money unless you're really valuing what you're putting on there. And all the stuff I've seen, there's not enough artistic merit to warrant spending.
Well, that's subjective, right? That's subjective.
That's absolutely. That's my opinion.
I'm not
everyone's allowed there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if someone genuinely values something and they're wanting to pay the price of putting that thing on the Bitcoin blockchain, knock yourself out, but pay the price.
Yes, right? but here's the kicker. So yes, I agree with that. But don't tell me you're doing that if you've told me 2 months before that you need to figure out a way to make money in the Bitcoin space. Now I'm going to think that you're being dishonest to me. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm going to start saying, yes, you can hide by the subjectivity. Yes, but I already know the intentions are there. So you're basically trying to tell me what I'm seeing through, but okay, I'll leave it at subjectivity and you really love it. But I agree with what you're saying. I do agree with what you're saying. It is subjective and you can't deny that. Absolutely.
Ultimately, the actions are the actions are louder than the words, right?
Yeah. Look, if it's mad and if it's awesome, people will keep doing it. And if people keep doing it, then that's beautiful, because just like people that go to Hillsong, I don't go to Hillsong, like, you know, the charismatic church where people sing in there. And if that makes their week easier, good luck to you. You know, whatever helps you through it. There's enough things throwing shit at you every day of your life when you wake up. It's like, man, do that thing that makes you happy. You know, as long as you're not like beating up, like punching dogs or, you know, killing dogs or something, obviously, you know, like if you go to church or something, like, cool, do you. But yeah, obviously within reason.
Yes.
Can we go to, I guess, San Francisco, startups, Wire, all that kind of experience for you? So like, like what got you to that point of going, fuck this, I
was like 27. I wasn't married. I didn't have a mortgage. And I was always like, oh, you know, I did this restaurant booking thing. And that was really kind of a fun journey. And I was like, well, you know, if you're going to start something, the biggest startup you can make in Australia is one with 30 million people, basically. Like, yeah, that's your total addressable. Yes, Atlassian, they made it and they killed it. But generally, you're going to start, may as well go for, you know, try and actors go to Hollywood, nerds go to San Francisco. Same. Yes, you can act in Sydney, you can act in Australia, but it's probably better to just go for broke and try and make it. And so I think that was in the spirit of the journey. And you know, I told my boss this as well at the company, because I did good work for them. And I was like, dude, I might be back in 3 months. If so, can I have my job back?
The boss of the job you're leaving in Australia.
Of course, yes. Yeah. And he was like, of course, dude, of course, good luck to you. And he was like, dude, you're gonna come back either in 3 months or you're gonna come back in 10 years with a good story. And so but no, it was amazing. But like, you know, the journey of building a startup is, I mean, really difficult. You're burning the candle at both ends, especially, let me tell you something that's weird. you can build a calendar app, you can build photo sharing shit, you can build all this. When you're building Bitcoin products and cryptographic money products, you are so horrified. Like, imagine the idea of, when you use Bitcoin, how it's horrifying sometimes. You're like, I don't even want to see my private key. Don't show it to me. Don't nothing. You're like, nope. You like want to wear a blindfold when you're using it, just in case you accidentally see a character on it. Well, it's like that, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And instead of holding your stack, you're holding everyone else's stack. Yeah. And so that keeps me up at night, like the security part. Oh my God, and what's weird is, like, because we're an infrastructure company, so Wire provided like the infrastructure to create fiat on and off ramps and exchange and send and receive Bitcoins and stuff like that. And so we were an infrastructure provider to other exchanges. So we'd see a lot, but we put out 1 year just because we were really proud of it. We were trying to raise money. And we're like, let's post some metrics because not a lot of people know about our brand and it'd be great to introduce ourselves. And so we introduced ourselves end of year review metrics about our volume and, how many people we'd helped in different regions. Anyway, dude, as soon as we did that, we got DDoS for like 3 weeks straight. It was the worst. And it was all over New Year's Eve and stuff. And so, all these experiences, I think the most experiences I learned from was just like the iteration process. Like, there's nothing that you will ever try for the first time, I don't think, and get it right. Riding a bike? Nope. Using cutlery? Nope. Putting a watch on? Nope. Putting a hat on? Nope. How do I undo the hat? How do I tie my shoes? Nothing we've ever done the first time works. And so building a startup in the Bitcoin space, we were like, because there was no other coins. In 2013, it was basically just Bitcoin. Like, there was a couple of these other ones, but nothing had gained noise yet other than Bitcoin was only starting to gain noise. Ethereum hadn't done their ICO or anything like that. And so just learning to iterate and be okay with iterating, because it's like, startups are really risky. Startups on top of a startup industry, like Bitcoin was a new startup. It was 3 years old. So it's like, fuck, betting all the marbles on this thing being a thing and us being a thing when that thing becomes a thing. So it's just startup risk, just like, it's like the human centipede, but for startup risk. Like, it's just risk on risk on risk on risk on risk on risk. So
human centipede. So just very quickly, I remember at Bitcoin Live, in your speech, you were talking about fucking fisting. I was like, man, no one can talk about fisting.
What do you mean? No, I didn't. Did I?
You did. You like talking about fisting wormholes or some shit. I don't know. It was the best.
God,
it was the best.
I'm waiting for the video. I haven't.
So is everybody, Michael. So is everyone.
Oh God,
it was wonderful.
It was so
wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
It was an absolute highlight. If like, say there's some 20-year-old, 22-year-old guy listening to this right now, and he's thinking about that is so you were that guy, right? So that is the time in your life. You're a single guy. You've got some maybe some qualification, maybe some skills. You don't really have a huge amount of commitments. What advice would you give to somebody there in terms of risk taking and just trying new things based on what your experience?
My experience, 100% only do it when you have the support cheering you on, because when you take a risk, the only risk worth taking is the going for broke, right? Like, in my opinion, if you're in this situation, go for broke. Don't try and start a small business down the corner. If you're a tech dude, get on a plane, go into the mix. If you're a fighter, if you're a basketballer, go to college in the US, whatever. If you're doing it, do it on the biggest stage. If you really want to have a crack at it. So I would say back yourself firstly, but make sure you've got an environment of people that are supportive of you. I'll give you an example. I was 27 when I moved to San Francisco. I turned 18. I became a legal adult. Now I can make decisions for myself. But when I was 26, when I was 25, I wanted to go. So it was 2 years before I went. And I spoke to my parents about it. And so as a kid, I went to 3 universities, dropped out of all of them. And for my parents looking at like, parents' jobs to make like a value-adding citizen, not be total shit kind of a person. And so they're like, oh, fuck, this guy keeps dropping out of fucking uni. He doesn't want to go to uni. And then I stopped at uni, and then I worked at a bar, and then I was a bricklayer. And by bricklayer, I mean I carried the bricks, and they all called me princess because it looked like I'd never worked a day in my life. But I loved it. It was awesome, like smoking all day, eating bacon, egg rolls, and just talking shit with the boys. And you get paid cash, and it was awesome. Like 21-year-old earning $900 cash a week. You're like, thanks, this is great. Anyway, so dropping out of uni, but your parents are obviously like, oh, this fucking idiot, please just find a job. Please just find a job or something. Please just find a guided narrative. So if they get hit by a bus or something, they go, okay, well, at least we know he's got a uni degree. He's not a total piece of shit. Anyway, so I finally found this job that I got, and they're like, oh, yes, the idiot's got a job. We can sort of rest easily now. And so for them, they've got this confidence now. And they would never say it, but you know what I mean? Like as a parent, I can understand what they're going through. They just want their kids to be okay. Yeah. So yeah, they don't like, they send your kid, you go get a good job, go to uni degree, get a good job and settle down. That's a safe narrative. And if you follow that, hopefully, you know, shit will work out. Anyway, so I get the job, and now funnily enough, like a year after I've got the job, they're like, oh, cool, blah, blah, blah. You're not a piece of shit. No, they didn't say I was a piece of shit, but like, you know, things are good. I've got a job. I'm employed. Things are okay. And I'm like, oh, guys, I've got a new idea. I want to go to America. And they're like, here we go. You know, this dude, he's changed schools. He's gone to 3 universities. He's bouncing around. He hasn't found his feet yet. And now he's telling us he wants to move to America. Good luck to you. And so they were like, come on, man. And I was really passionate about it. And they knew I was really passionate about this stuff. But they were also very realistic. And coming from their perspective, they're saying this dude that hasn't committed to anything. He's dropped out of 3 universities, and now he's got a job. And after 1 year, he's already trying to change jobs and go start something new when he's got no experience doing that either, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that happened. And then my brother talked to my parents, maybe like a year later. I was doing this startup at lunchtime that I was telling you about, the restaurant booking one. Yeah. And it was really fun, and I was really passionate about it. And we ended up, that was just such great experience about the whole journey and what you can do. And, you know, getting, like, imagine when you first see someone download your podcast or view, like you see 100 views, you're like, there's people out there that are listening to this that I've never met before.
There's not anymore.
No, not after this. Not after this. But turn that shit off, would you? But you know what I mean? And that's interesting to know that people would know you guys and you've never met them before. It's like, it's a strange thing. So anyway, so long story short, you want support. So I obviously, as an adult, I could say to my parents, hey, I'm going overseas. Cool. They're like, cool. But I know it's already a 99.9 chance of failure. Like that's literally the statistics. If you start a startup, I think it's 99.9% chance of failure. So why not have someone just cheering me on? And like, just if you don't have those people cheering you on, then you're already going to walk back, and they're going to be, you're already going to have it in your head. Like now it becomes a thing of like, oh, I've got to go back, and they're going to be told you so. You don't want to be in that position. So 2 years later, they were cool with it. And I was like, cool, thanks for the support. And I went to an Anthony Robbins concert, you know, the motivational speaker.
Oh yeah.
About a week before I went, and then I went and moved into a hacker house there, and I basically met my co-founder who was moved into this like share house because I didn't want to go over with, you know, people like, oh, I've got a mate from Australia who's there and a mate from, I was like, I don't want to meet Australians. Like I'm not going over there to make a safe bubble. I'm going over there to meet all the people I could never meet in Australia. So all these investors or Stanford kids or Y Combinator, all this stuff. And so I thought it would be better to go to just a hacker house, which is sort of like someone's rented this place, you know, a 3-story house, and they've just fitted it out with bunk beds in the house, and they rent the bunk bed for like $1,000. It's, you know, it's like an orphanage with Wi-Fi is what I used to call it. And that's literally what it's like. You know, it's like if you see orphanages, like the bunk beds everywhere, not orphanage, barracks or whatever, but I think of the movie Annie, the orphanage in that movie Annie. Yeah, it was the only video my nan had, so I watched it all the time. I liked it, actually. I really enjoed Annie. It's great.
I got an older sister, mate. I watched Annie quite a bit as well.
Yeah. Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah.
How good. Daddy Warbucks is going to be Warbucks with a Bitcoin logo. Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, the piece of advice I would give is back yourself, but make sure you've got buy-in from your support network because you need them. It's a fact of a matter. You don't need to play it on. It's already on God mode difficulty. It's going to be God mode difficult. So that would expect that. So try and get buy-in and support just to make sure they're in your corner, just so you can call them and have a chat. And when you pick up the phone, it's not a told you so. That's one thing. I'd say the second thing is being extremely willing to get the answer no, like shoved in your face. Yeah. You better love no. And you better get so excited about hearing no. I used to love hearing no because I just had this theory in my head that was basically at the end of 100 no's, there's a yes. We're in yes territory. So the faster I get these no's, good. Keep them coming, people. Get the fuck out of here. Don't want your time. Like, you know, you want all these no's through your door. Yeah. But a lot of people get it and they're like, fuck, man. Yeah, maybe I am wrong. Like all the people, when we go to raise money or something, I remember being really, really heartbroken after like the first couple of meetings because all the people saying no to us were all the people that they were the first investor in Pinterest, the first investor in Instagram, the first investor in Facebook. And these people, they've got traditionally very good reputations at what they do. Now, the whole space has changed a lot and the sentiment has changed a lot recently. But back in its glory days where it was sort of like startup VCs, and I think it was basically pre all these shitcoins, because the shitcoin models have warped the whole VC industry. Now, VC industry has been very kind of blasé, where they're basically just investing other people's money, sometimes their own as well. But now, because the shitcoins, it's really easy to say, hey, VCs, you used to have a 7-year horizon for liquidity. Now it's 2 years. And they go, that's pretty good. And they're like, is there a way we can make it 1 year? And it's like, well, we could put a different release schedule out for the tokens and blah, blah, blah. And then it gets really muddy, because now you're incentivizing to make money quickly, not to make a persistent protocol that lasts indefinitely.
Anyway, I think that's lost its interest in a lot of ways for a lot of people. I think
100%.
Fast forward, I don't know, 5-10 years into the Bitcoin space, it becomes super interesting again, because it then becomes people who are only getting involved in ideas who think they can outperform Bitcoin, right?
Literally.
Why would you do anything if you didn't think you could outperform Bitcoin, right? So, I
have to have alpha. If you're not going to, why not just buy the native asset then? Like,
But do you think so all these Bitcoin businesses that are setting up, I mean, a lot of people want to be involved in Bitcoin, right? But
they get a rude shock when they realize
perform the underlying asset. I mean, very few, right?
I mean, almost none of them. And when you say outperform, performance is interesting, because performance is financial, but if I give your stress levels no stress, and I guarantee you a 20% year over year, no stress, go to sleep like a baby, 20% year over year, I'd sign up to that over a 1 in 1,000 extra turn in 7 years.
Yeah.
That's and you know what? This is part of Bitcoin's appeal, because predictability reduces risk. So if something's predictable, the risk is now not there, because I can predict how risky it will be. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why Bitcoin, so the reliability of Bitcoin, because it just works. We just know there's going to be the next block. And there's no fuddy-duddy, this, that, or, these curveballs, because it's so simple in its requests from its users. Just please make another block. That's all I'm asking of you. No bells and whistles. I just find that I find that interesting. The two, the intersection. Yeah.
All right. What else?
Well, we said we were going to get to time travel, but I think we might leave it to another day.
Nah, scrap that.
Yeah, no.
I did have a question for you guys, and I've just fucking forgotten it. Part of my language.
Does it involve Pete and golf?
How'd you guys play?
Shit
house.
I was actually okay with how I played.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be worse. Put it that way.
No,
I did at one stage, put it into the bunker and then knife it into the pond, and thought I'm going to go home.
No,
but
no, I had a blast. Although probably every third hole, I just picked my ball up and went jump, because Pete and I were in the cart together. I'm like, all right, Pete, where are we going?
It was good fun.
Good fun. No,
awesome. It should become a thing.
I think
you should do it.
Yeah. And you're coming back for Iron Man?
It is now. Oh, I'm back for Iron Man. Yeah, 100%.
Are you going to come here, or are you going to go to Cairns, or where are you going to?
So the Cairns one's coming up. I missed that, but then it's Bustleton in Western Australia in December. So the thing is beautiful, but like Port Macquarie is the course I want to do it with. Like that was the goal. We wanted to do it at Port Macquarie with Jake and I, but now Bustleton it's 3 days before the 12-month date that we started the goal. So it's like, if we did it, then it would be within 12 months. And it's like, oh, is that good or bad? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm back in Port Macquarie. Dude, I'm obsessed with Port Macquarie. You don't understand. It's unbelievable.
Well, it is. We live here, mate. It's great.
Mate, I mean, literally, it's like that. It's like, oh, yeah, don't tell anyone. It's fucking awesome. No, play it down. Oh, yeah, it sucks. Oh, how shit's Port Macquarie? I hope to move to Sydney. Like, literally, that's what it's like. You feel like a sucker not being there. I reckon I got it on the best weekend it's had ever.
You got it on a good weekend. It was a beautiful
weekend. I got it on a good weekend.
It's every weekend.
This time of year is the best time of year, because
it's a beautiful town.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agreed. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's the best time of year.
Yeah. All right, let's leave it there.
I reckon we're going to
do your thing, guys.
Michael, thank you, mate.
Oh, I love how that ended with a massive cough.
Sorry, no. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Good to chat. When am I going to see you guys next? Cairns? Are you going to Cairns Bush Bash?
We had this debate earlier.
No, okay. I don't think we can.
It might be Murrah.
It'll be Murrah. You'll be at Murrah, yeah.
Murrah. Oh, 100%. Murrah, that's one of the best days I've had in my life over the past 20 years, going to Murrurundi. I literally talk about it all the time with Pete. I'm like, how good was it? He's like, yeah. And my friends are like, so tell me, what'd you do? And I was like, okay, we went to this town in the middle of fucking nowhere. And he's like, where is it? I'm like, I don't even know where I was. It was that good. And they're like, what? And people are trying to keep up with my shit story. They're like, so what was the place like? I was like, the shitty motel inns that look like you're going to get murdered. He's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, exactly like that. And he's like, and then where'd you go to the conference center? I go, oh, it was in this old church. And he's like, wait, so you walked in? I was like, yeah. And this guy had a projector in church. And I was like, talking about Bitcoin. He's like, what? Are you at a cult? And I was like, well, basically. And, you walk into a church and Catan's there presenting privacy practices. I was like, the church of Bitcoin. But no.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'll see you guys at Murrah. If I'm in Port Macquarie, I'll see you before then.
All right, man. That was so good. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye,
Michael.
guys. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Later.
Man.